Hello from me, John Champion, alongside me, Taylor Twellman. Taylor, we've got the prime slot tonight.
Yes, we
8
do.
p.m. on a Friday night, which is great, not least because our exclusive research shows that we get far more goals in this slot than in the 9 a.m. or the 10:30 p.m.
There's been a real energy to the games over the last couple of nights, and I think the weather has had a huge part of that. But you also look at this Group C as kind of being the jumping off point. Now there's jeopardy involved in these games, John. We had a little bit last night, with Columbus and Montreal and Toronto. But now there's jeopardy in the games, and you've got to see a hungry DC United side that's got to try to play themselves back into this group.
Absolutely, and if we take a look at the Group C standings, you begin to see that we are on the brink of a team from this section possibly qualifying. A win for New England would do it.
Yeah, and the one thing we need to remind everyone is every single time you see these standings, remember, 4 of the best third-place teams will also advance, and that's why the onus is on DC United to get into this group by at least getting a point tonight, but also if New England gets a point, they play themselves really in the next group. But you look at the last result from DC United, that brought life to Ben Olsen in this group because it was a real struggle getting to that point, John. If you look at this MLS's back tournament, I think the up and downness to the tournament uncertainty, it's around DC. They're the perfect example. They epitomize what that is. 2 games were postponed. One team sits on the bus, the other doesn't. You work out, you've got testing as a player positive and whatnot. So them salvaging a point against Toronto, it's given them new life. Now they got a game, primetime television on ESPN. I think there's going to be a hungry DC United team tonight.
And it was some salvage operation, wasn't it, on a dramatic Monday morning?
Absolutely it was, because it was completely against the run of play against Toronto, right? You look at the way Toronto easily was playing them off the field. Now the second goal goes in. Immediately, there's a second yellow from Moreno. This is in the first half. And then Higuain comes in, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, DC United's got some life, and they salvage a point late. Now, I understand Toronto made some subs. They had to, but it doesn't matter. In this tournament, you needed some life. Ben Olsen said it. They needed life and belief because they felt off with how Toronto didn't show up to that morning game because they're positive test. You saw that animosity at the end of the game, John. So I just look at tonight being a prime game because New England, on the other hand, had a great performance against Montreal. Yes, Matt Turner had to make a couple big saves, but there's an excitement with the Revs that all of a sudden Bruce Arena's brought that hasn't been there in a long time.
I think we should take a closer look at the DC United lineup tonight. Obviously no Junior Moreno because of the suspension that kicks in for the second yellow card dismissal, but also no Ola Kamara.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is you've got Bill Hamid in goal, right? And he's always been strong in coming up with saves in key moments. You see his career, he's always had some good numbers with shutouts. Last year, he had 14 shutouts, but this one for me is O'Neal Fisher right back. His first start since 2018 late, where Jan's had consecutive games with goals for the first time in his career. They're strong in the back, but they need a little bit more dynamism going forward. You're going to get that with Fisher, but this puts Knaus into the midfield. And, John, this is where he belongs for me. He's an out-and-out defensive midfielder, filling in the gaps, keeping it simple. He's not a right back. So Knaus and Felipe are trying to give some freedom, I think, Flores to go find the game. And Assad and Gresso are going to be very direct in wide areas, very predictable, but also very dangerous.
So that's a good solid lineup for DC United. Maybe not quite as strong in certain areas as it would ideally be, but that defence doesn't let in too many goals. If we then flip it to New England, I mean, there is a case. Lucas Zelarayan has got goal of the week for the first week of the tournament, but this fella could have had it.
Yeah, I think Gustavo Bo's a special player, and he's a unique player because he doesn't have a defined position, and I think that's extremely unique this day and age because so often you hear the word profile. He fits our profile. Gustavo Bo's an old school creator. He's going to create chances and he's going to score chances. Bruce Arena feels though with Matt Turner in goal, they've got a shot stopper that can turn the game, but he believes they've got the best center back grouping that the New England Revolution have ever had in their career. He doesn't know what combo yet, though. No. If MLS Cup was tonight, Bruce Arena doesn't know who his 2 center backs starting are. That says a lot about Mencien and De La Mea. They played well last game, unchanged 11, but I still think the jury's out when it's all said and done. Who are the 2 best center backs in Bruce Arena's mind?
Well, Bo and Heel provide a lot of options, and they do interchange. It may be that they don't stay in those positions throughout the entire game. And then at the top of the pitch, Adam Buxa, who is a new recruit, one of the 3 designated players. New England with 3 DPs on the pitch for the first time in their history, last time out.
Yeah, that tells you the transformation of New England slowly but surely under Bruce Arena. And when you've got 3 DPs, and those 3 Ps, which all have provided some glimpse of real hope that not only are the Revolution going to compete in the Eastern Conference, they're going to compete to try to win the Eastern Conference. It's been a long time since the Revolution had been in that conversation.
Now, we don't want to lose you, but you do have an option of watching Sporting KC against Colorado from Group D, the so-called Group of Death, over on ESPN2. But we would be delighted if you stayed with us for the intriguing prospect of DC United against New England. This has been the Heineken pre-game showcase.
Yeah, 15 seconds. Guidance was done.
Audi e-tron, the next frontier of electric. Get Audi at your door remote services through participating dealers.
Dove Men Plus Care 3-in-1 bar is unique. It can be used on the hands, body, and face. It cleanses and moisturizes with 1/4 moisturizing cream, leaving your skin feeling comfortable and smooth. Dove Men Plus Care 3-in-1 bar.
That's life. And as funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on your dreams. And if I didn't think it was worth one try, I'd jump right on a big bird, and then I
essential workers, stadium construction was allowed to happen in Texas. It was not allowed in Sacramento. It was not allowed in St. Louis. And as this league has shown, if those two cities are going to open up, they need to open up in their stadiums. So I have zero problem with it. Charlotte was a little surprised, I think, for people because they're going to be playing in a football stadium initially there. But I think it's the right move. Why rush it if any one of them are not ready? Sacramento and St. Louis unequivocally are not ready for this. And I think Charlotte was in a little bit of a rush. That's the right move. But it does mean 1 year of an unbalanced schedule. And that's all I heard about today from the technical staffs in the league.
Interesting. Thank you. Well, we're heading towards kickoff now, albeit a slightly delayed kickoff. DC United against New England. Referee and teams are on the way. We will have live coverage here on ESPN when we return.
This watch tells. Thousands of miles above the Earth.
Together, Lucian on the right, Steve Birnbaum on DC on the left. conditions. Temperature 88 degrees, humidity not so much of a threat as it has been, and not so much of a factor in some of the earlier kickoffs, around about 58%. As we look at the oldest coach in Major League Soccer, Bruce Arena, heading towards his 69th birthday, the inaugural head coach of DC United, and the man who has helped revitalise New England. And a protege, one of his former players, both at UVA and with DC United and the national team, Ben Olsen. Twice delayed. We're only 10 minutes later than scheduled. Taking off the knee, firmly established as a precursor to kickoff for every game in this tournament. New England wearing white, getting us underway. A reinvigorated force since the arrival of Bruce Arena in May of last year. They've lost only 4 of his 25 games in charge in MLS. The playoffs at the end of last season, having looked unlikely to for much of the campaign. And DC United, they've lost a couple of stars in Rooney and Acosta. They are, of course, sadly without Paul Arriola, although it's good to see him at least back with a pair of boots on. But at the same time, they continue to find a way to get results, and that's precisely what they did on Monday here against Toronto. 2 goals and a man down at half-time, and yet for just the 3rd time in MLS history, coming back from a predicament of that magnitude to gain a point. For you, Taylor, who starts as favourites in this?
I would say New England, just because you look at the quality, especially their 3 designated players in the attack versus what DC United has. I just think that usually in a game of this magnitude is the difference, right? But what you just described with DC United, that's what Ben Olsen was as a player. That's what he is as a manager, finding a way to get results. I just feel like this New England team, similar to Columbus, has some real belief that they're going to compete in the Eastern Conference. So I think the Revs, with how they played against Montreal, they've had 7 days to rest. I would say the Revs are the favorites tonight.
Knaus is playing in midfield tonight, in place of the suspended Junior Moreno, sent off last time out. Means a first start in the league in 2 years for O'Neill Fisher at right back. Current games at the MLS's back tournament this evening over on ESPN 2 at the moment. Sporting Kansas City have just kicked off against Colorado.
And John, just to complete my thought about why New England has a real prospect of being successful, it's the subject of my Continental Tire Analyst Corner, is they are the only team in Major League Soccer that have 2 players in the top 5 of chances created. It's amazing to think Carlos Gil created 12 chances and he's only played 1 game. Those are 2 players. If they play in New England at a high level for the next 5, 6, 7 years, you're talking about 2 of the greatest players in Revolution history.
So the tall totems up from the back for DC. Messrs Briand and Birnbaum. Too much physical contact inside the penalty area for referee Dickerson's liking. into this having won only one of their last 6 games. Having said that, they've only lost 2 of 9.
Oh, good ball.
Good progress being made here. And the blast, which took a deflection from Felipe.
It's night and day, isn't it, John? Literally and figuratively. I mean, the energy from both teams, and we've seen it over the last 4 or 5 nights, and we've heard it from coaches. You know, when the sun goes down, the humidity has dropped, the energy is there. We've seen it in Germany, we've seen it in England. You know, the rust is coming off a lot quicker on these 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock games at nighttime. And already 5 minutes in, you're seeing a real good pace to this game.
Down by Bo. Buxa. This is Christian Pania.
Good tackle.
It's affected by Felipe.
Yeah, that's the Felipe DC United need. You know, John, in his heyday with the New York Red Bulls, he was just always getting after it, filling in the gaps, tactical fouls, you know, allowing Dax McCarty to get in and around the game in possession, turn him over. But when you looked at his season in 2019, it was his career low in tackles won and fouls. And for Felipe to be successful, Ben Olsen needs him to be a real menace in the middle. Bad giveaway here.
Opportunity for New England. Buxa was trying to spin and then a miscue by Bo on the follow-up. So what a glorious goal, the only one against Montreal the other day.
And he's not a typical 9, and he's not a creator at 10, but he does create chances for whatever reason that may be. And I think it's just a good understanding of when and where to attack, when to pick up possession with the ball at his feet. You know, 10 years ago, he's your prototypical second forward, John. This is a little different, and I think Bruce Arena gives him the freedom to play closer to his number 9 up front than he is with Carlos Gil.
In by Fischer, and there's Sorga lurking. Rick Sorga, the Estonian, is in because Ola Kamara has a problem with a quad. Only 21, really signed, I think, more to play for the USL team, Loudoun United, but he did score 31 times in the Estonian league last season. Kelly Rowe.
Sorga's young, 21 it's a project, and I'm okay with a signing like that. But when you talk to people in and around DC United, early impressions are he's good at a lot of things. We just don't know if he's great at anything yet. But you look at his numbers, John, as a young goal scorer, you think, whoa, wait a minute. But then again, you know, it's Estonia League and it's at a lower level, but that's a project, and why not take a chance?
You've been to Estonia?
No.
You'd like it. Party weekend capital of Europe.
Oh, it is Friday night. You want to go after the game?
1 or 2 travel restrictions at the moment. So free kick. Just been taken in a fashion that the referee doesn't particularly appreciate.
Yeah, but what's frustrating about that, it's Scott Caldwell's having the conversation with the referee. He didn't ask for it. So you blow the whistle, and the referee's trying to set up the 10-yard speed. He didn't ask for it. So the quick free kick can be taken.
Kick teased in. Not defended with ultimate conviction, so it is a corner.
In-swinging ball here is difficult for Bill Hamid, so someone from the New England Revolution have to get in front of Felipe Martins on that near post. I mean, you can hear Bill Hamid's trying to get Felipe to step up, but that spot right in front of that 6-yard box, see, that's a problem.
It wasn't a corner, though, but had any chance of exploiting that area.
Oh, but when you've got 3 guys stationary on top of the 6, any kind of good driven ball with pace, that could be a dangerous ball.
Mancien. Goalkeeper's Matt Turner. Delamere. Bow. Carlos Hill. By. Hill. To most that he has coached through the years. This is an interesting angle to try and exploit. Moorer away. Captain Hill. Again, Hill. Now Rowe. It's the game where the two teams are still sounding each other out. Tonight, put them through to the round of 16. 3 teams already assured of continued participation here. Orlando, Philadelphia and Columbus. Here's Assad. Knaus. Julian Gressel. Pania. Games between these teams last season ended all square. On both occasions, DC had to come from behind to earn a point. It's been penalty by Wayne Rooney. Agadello's goal for a 1-1 draw at Gillette Stadium. And a late leverer from Quincy Amarikwa made it 2-2 Downey Field. It's a fairly frequent feature for DC that they have to fight their way back into games. Happened in their win against Miami, second game of the season. And of course again against Toronto. Just a man down. It's Alexander Butner.
But it's not something Ben Olsen's extremely proud of, though. You asked him that. You can tell it kind of bothers him that it takes them so long to get in. It's almost like they need to be punched in the face before they wake up.
Struck a hand.
Well, the foul was actually before that. The whistle was blown for the handball from Felipe. New England just in these moments, John, because DC United's doing a good enough job of clogging the middle. They've got to find the right balance between Caldwell and Kellen Rowe. Because both players right now are on the same plane, so it's difficult to try to play through them. Ben Olsen was talking of that yesterday, that if New England gets their balance right in the midfield and allows Carlos Gil to float around, then the game could be a real struggle for them. But right now, Canaus and Felipe Martin's doing a good job of forcing Carlos Gil away from their goal.
9th time that Ben Olsen has faced Bruce Arena in a managerial context. It's just the one win for Olsen against Bruce Arena's then LA Galaxy back in 2015. 3 wins for the veteran. Gressel to play in Fisher.
Oh, good cut here.
Gil hampered by Gressel, and that is the first yellow card of the night.
Really the first contribution we've seen from Julian Gressel. Right on cue. Did you hear the audio from Bruce Arena? Literally begging Scott Caldwell to come back and build up so he and Kellen Rowe then have the right angles to play through that. Bruce doesn't know it, but we put a microphone right in his pocket. That's on the Ocho.
Bow dropping deep. Caldwell. Butner. Flores reaching the ball, but he's got a free kick anyway. Felipe with Mora on his outside. Brandon by. Felipe. Foul. Rion, who has scored in the last 2 games for DC. First time he's ever managed that in his lengthy career. He's 35 now. Gil.
They're fun to watch. There's a real good connection with Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bo, isn't there?
2 very thoughtful footballers. Apparently they share a wavelength.
Well, there's just Carlos Gil's going to drop in, then Bo plays off of him, you play out of trouble, then you try to play it through ball. That's the balance you're talking about with a winger like Christian Pinilla that can play off of that. Now listen, Bruce Arena throughout his entire career has had success with 2 players you know, that have a lot of freedom. I like Galaxy. Robbie Keane, Landon Donovan. Yes, they had a position in the tactical system, but he allowed some freedom of interpretation of what that role was and is. But the only way that works, John, is if you have players in and around it that can then cover. And that's why a player like Scott Caldwell is in the lineup, because Bruce said he understands the simple task and allow the creative players to be them.
Recent history of this fixture, 1 win in the last 12 meetings for New England. They've struggled consistently to score against DC United. Wasn't always that way, Taylor, was it?
No.
Gone very quiet. It's pleasant, but
Enjoy it.
Fisher.
That's good defending from Fisher. DC United spent a majority of this game defending, and then when they do win possession, their options of Gressel, Assad, very limited going forward, and that's been a real issue right here 20 minutes in. We may have seen 1 or 2 touches from Gressel. We've seen nothing from Assad, and that's because majority of the game they're defending about 25, 30 yards from their own goal.
And the defender. It's a graphic we've got you might be interested in, Taylor. I don't know whether this explains your rare silence a moment or two ago. Anything to say?
No. But I'm going to take a photo of that, send it to Ben after the game. Just a nice reminder. And then he'll send me a picture of the 2004 MLS Cup, and then I'll just, yeah. All right. Okay.
15 goals against one opponent. You'd think that would be a record, but you only share it with Landon Donovan in terms of goals scored against DC.
There was once upon a time, John, when this league had 10 teams, and so we would play DC United 14 times in 1 year, so you're bound to score goals.
Sparing your blushes, it was 15 goals in 23 games, Taylor, so for once you can take a bow. Pania. Mancien. Gill. Bow. Pania. Butler on his outside. Just a yard too far behind Buxer.
Just a little surprised this deep into your defensive third, and there's really a lack of pressure on the ball from DC. They're comfortable in these spots when the ball gets wide because the New England Revolution have only had 1 runner inside the 18.
Buxer's header.
But John, just a little surprising, 20, 25 yards in the channels and whatnot. DC United just kind of calm, composed, forcing them wide, but no real pressure on the ball.
Butler, who once was touted as Patrice Evra's long-term successor at Manchester United, it didn't pan out that way. couple of years, played mostly in cup competitions. 28 games in total. Heel. Pania. Heel. To Bow. No angle available. That's a good blast and a good save too.
Wow, I thought Hami got a touch on this.
Onto the bar, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, you love the half a turn from Gustavo Bo, top of the 18. Kellen Rowe hits this perfectly. I think Bill Hami got a touch on that, even from the audio. That one's a little bit difficult to see. I don't know. Maybe not.
Certainly was the impression with the naked eye.
Good interchanging play, though, from the New England Revolution. An even better hit from Kellen Rowe.
MLS on ESPN is presented by Audi and their Goals Drive Progress initiative, investing $1,000 into the MLS youth academies for every goal that's scored. Knaus. Peruvian Flores. Felipe. Now Fisher. Sides had contrasting seasons last year. DC United top of the East for much of the first 3 months, then fell away. Still comfortably made the playoffs, mind you. New England in the bottom 2 in the East for the first 4 months of last year. Brad Friedel replaced ultimately by Bruce Arena in the middle of May. Mike Lapper putting good service, keeping the Revs unbeaten in the interim period. Bruce Arena had the luxury of 3 weeks to introduce himself to the job before taking charge of his first competitive game, which was a win at his old club, LA Galaxy. Since then, it's 9 wins, 9 draws and 4 defeats in the league. Flores. Sorga. Felipe. Costa Rican Mora. Flores will rather trapped beneath his feet. Birnbaum is able to clear.
What Carlos Gil's doing for the Revolution, Flores needs to do that for DC. And even the game against Toronto, very few touches. It just looks like he's still trying to play himself into a comfort level with his new team.
Gressel. Mora. Maybe Gressel got a bobble. Bow. Adam Buxa. Carlos Gil. Rose made a diagonal run.
Oh, that's the wrong. Even good defending, even better defending though from DC on that recovery. But Carlos Gil, the right ball, bows in.
It's Gil once again. Pania. Put in by Knaus.
This is that ball I'm talking about. If it's hit with the right pace, the recovery from DC has been very good in transition. A lot of it's O'Neal Fisher, John. You know, I told you before the game that I just feel like the balance of DC United is better off when Knaus is not playing at that right back spot. I just don't think it suits him as a player, and so Fisher's been up to the challenge tonight. A couple times 1v1 against Pania, he's been up for it, but then in transition, he's always that first one in recovery. Those are little things that coaches and staffs recognize, and O'Neal Fisher's been up for it.
Bow to take. To a good area too, and it got the near post flick. Retrieved by Hill. Kellen Rowe.
How about that turn?
Delamere. Here's back heel for Putner. Brooks are trying to adjust his body position to guide the header. Place simultaneously on the adjacent pitch, and it is Sporting Kansas City against Colorado, who enjoy the lead in that game thanks to Kellen Acosta.
Good finish. Real good finish. Sanchez is in goal for Sporting Kansas City because of the red card to Tim Melia. That was a really good finish, almost the identical spot that Gustavo Bo scored his goal against Montreal from.
Yeah, Jack Price off the line. That is how Group D currently looks, taking that scoreline into account. And don't forget that following us on ESPN, live coverage of Real Salt Lake against Minnesota United, who've won all 3 of their games this season so far. And of course, beat Sporting KC with goals in the 92nd and 97th minute.
Interesting Sporting Kansas City news that came across my way right before I got here, right around 5 o'clock Eastern. Apparently Fiorentina has offered $4 million for Gianluca Busio, and another 2 Serie A teams are watching this closely. I know a Dutch club, I think it's Feyenoord, I'll confirm that at the break, but a lot of clubs are sniffing in and around Busio, which is interesting because at some point I think you got to play him. Peter Vermees needs to play him.
View from our AT&T 5G aerial cam, which is available to you all the time if you like, if you go to ESPN3.com. Hill. Game so far short on goal scoring opportunities. Here though is Bow. Gressel.
Yeah, good spot there from Julian Gressel.
Flores and Gressel, and the factor defender crossed his eye line just before the ball arrived, maybe put him off. See Gressel's response. Just an opportunity that actually was. He'd gone at it with a bit more conviction. Kiel. Mancien. Putnam. Foul by Gressel.
This is the first time we've seen all night how DC United got out of trouble, got out of pressure, and it's because one of their wide players in either Gressel or Assad can come into that gap in that hole, and then you can play out of there, John. You know, it ends up with a good cross and Gressel trying to get on the end of it. But I think Assad and Gressel can take a little freedom and maybe helping Flores come inside and not always stuck on the touchline. The other aspect is the back four needs to, at some point, push the tempo a little bit. You can hear the audio from Ben Olsen and his staff. That chance goes the other way. Right now, Birnbaum and Briant need to be pushing the line further up. There's still too big of a gap for DC United in the midfield.
Felipe. Gressel. Fischer. Felipe. And then Assad, who purposefully took a stride inside the penalty area before falling over. Really failed to impress the referee.
Just feels a little methodical, doesn't it, from DC United, from your point of view?
Still feels very well thought out, well drilled. I just think a moment of spontaneity or ingenuity is going to be what breaks this.
I'd even use the simple word energy. You know, like just having the ability to say you're going to make a second and third run.
Late challenge, Kellen Rowe. Free kick taken from the wrong place. And coming up next on ESPN and on the ESPN app, Real Salt Lake at Minnesota United in Group D. That follows us on this channel. Two that over on ESPN2. This morning, Kansas City a goal down to the Colorado Rapids right now. Simultaneous matches for the first time at MLS's back.
I just don't think playing direct suits DC United today with this lineup and this personnel on the field. See, that suits them. Playing a ball into the feet of Assad, Flores running off Asorga up front. But DC United pretty much, when the ball gets to the feet of Birnbaum and Briant, they're playing direct.
Knaus, Gressel. Assad. On that by Pania. Brandon by. Gustavo Bo. Investment in this New England team in the past year by the owners, the Crafts. Club record $7 million for Bo. $4.5 million for the man in pursuit of the ball there, Adam Buxa. Prior to that, $2 million for Carlos Hill. New training centre as well. Serena appears to have been pretty successful in managing to prise open the owner's checkbook.
You spent $35 million on a training facility. You're proving something is on the horizon, right? And then you go out and spend that money for these three players.
You talking stadium? But now,
yeah, I am. Now that's pre-pandemic, and obviously it's a topic of conversation that's always been there for the Revolution fans, and they have every right to ask every single day what that project looks like and what it's going to be. The Crafts aren't going to do anything that doesn't suit them up and set them up, I should say, for the next 25, 30 years. But Bruce Arena's not taking this job if he doesn't know and understand and believe that Robert and Jonathan Kraft are a full go for the New England Revolution. And a training center and 3 designated players is a very good sign and something that is a rarity, if not ever, with that franchise.
Just the head coach, but also the sporting director. Bow. And Buxa. And Rion did pretty well.
He looks fitter, doesn't he, Gustavo Bo? He looks fitter. I'm not saying he was out of shape, but he definitely looks a tad leaner, and you can kind of tell with his movement, John, right? You and I watching last year and watching tonight, there's more mobility to him. He definitely looks fitter to me.
Bruce Arena was pleased with the fitness level of his players when they all gathered together again. They split off into 3 groups. Do some informal training. They were all allowed in one place at the same time, some of them in Providence, Rhode Island, some at Harvard, others at Foxborough. Pania. And Bow with a shooting chance.
It's just everything about this turn is exactly what you try to teach young players at a young age, of how to use your body and movement, no touches on the ball, to set up the defender to go one way and you go the other. He's just eerily similar to Robbie Keane with those little feints with the shoulder, little dips to unbalance a defender. Just a great turn from Gustavo Bo and a big save from Bill Hamid.
Heel. Deflection on that changed the trajectory. And it came off the head of Birnbaum for a corner, which is contested by Bill Hamid fairly vocally. Bow at the corner. Be at the peak of his game at the age of 30, Gustavo Bo. Signed from Tijuana. 3 short of 100 career goals. There's Bow again.
Someone from DC United, though, needs to pick that up on set pieces. It's blatantly obvious that Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bo are going to try to pull off something, whether it's a floated ball to the back post, whether it's a ball driven on the ground to the near post. But you've got 5 free players in front of Bill Hamid. At some point, Birnbaum, Brian, Bill Hamid, they need to recognize that Gustavo Bo needs to be man-marked in and around that 18.
Rowdy half-time report is on the way. Our opportunity to bring you the significant action of the first half between Sporting Kansas City and the Colorado Rapids. To look ahead to the later game tonight, Real Salt Lake against Minnesota. Gressel. To play off Flores. Going to 2 extra minutes here. This is the slot that's meant to produce the most goals of the 4 available kickoff times at this tournament. Average of 3.6 per game in matches starting around about 8 o'clock, compared with a 9 AM average of 2.3 goals per game. But this isn't following that trend. Pinilla.
That's a card.
Yeah, held back and held back again.
So the question is you and I and everyone was focused on Assad, right? But what did Christian Pinilla do immediately after the whistle was blown? Because when you see an immediate reaction from players of both teams, you just saw Pinilla's teammate come all the way up and Mencien. That's an arm thrown at the head of Assad. The whistle blows right here. Now, is the arm thrown at his head? I'm going to say no, but you tell me that's not. It's almost as if Christian Pinilla stops it before he connects, doesn't it?
It is. It's like he's turning around thinking of pushing him away.
But you and I have played or called many a games where you see an arm go like that, it connects with the head and turns into a red card.
Yeah.
But this game's a result of one team being very comfortable in possession and another team not really wanting to expand themselves whatsoever. I mean, here's a set piece, 65, 70 yards from goal, and DC United has 8 players 25 yards from their own goal. Well, they created a decent chance off a counter where Russell tries to get on the end of it, but that's pretty much been it.
Assad. Touch of the half, which has been underwhelming. DC United and New England failing to produce a goal so far. It's all been fairly neat, fairly well ordered, but there's been precious little by way of spontaneity or inspiration. A puff of the cheeks from Ben Olsen as he goes off to address his men. And at half-time, we'll have a look at Sporting Kansas City against Colorado.
Revolution had 3 more days rest, so those heavy legs, does that come into play for DC United in the second half?
Bruce Arena is of the opinion that the conditions actually are the biggest levelling factor. Was it just that his stride pattern was wrong? Because he looked the odds-on favourite to end up on the end of that.
It's a little thing that very few people at home are going to notice this, John, but Bo the entire first half played in front of the defender. Look at this run. So for 45 minutes, DC United thought every time Gustavo Bo's coming to the ball, he's going to show, he's going to play with his back against the goal. This time he plays off the back shoulder, he runs the seams. It's just a little run that opened up the space, but Gustavo Bo understanding the little intricacies of playing as a center forward.
Vania. With Bo and Heel buzzing around it, Adam Buxa, who is poised to benefit potentially from their ingenuity. Hasn't happened yet.
It's been fairly easy pickets for Birnbaum and Briand. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. There's Flores and Segura. Nearly a dramatic introduction for the Costa Rican.
This is so good from DC United. Look at the little movement. Assad picks up his head. That looked close to being in an offside position, if not. But that's the movement. Now with Segura up front, you get a little bit more mobility. Someone that's going to not just stay in the middle and kind of play into the channels, try to get the 2 center backs from the New England Revolution chasing the game towards their own goal.
Gressel's corner. Birnbaum hitching a ride. Penalised. Adam Buxa, who's in familiar surroundings. 11 years ago yesterday, he played in the final of the Disney Cup for Wisla Krakow under-13s on this pitch. They won the tournament too. Rowe showing some welcome adventure. Bo. Smattering of slightly more hopeful signs in terms of attacking intent since the break.
If I had any critique, though, of Gustavo Bo and Buxa up front, it's that they're very little combination in build-up with those two. A lot of it's always off the final ball, which is fine. But with Bo and Carlos Heel, Buxa at some point can play a factor in the build-up. It's only going to make life defending the New England Revolution more difficult. It also opens up space. As a target forward, when you know your sole job is to get on the end of it, you do have to get involved in the build-up at times to get the 2 center backs defending you to move and open up areas for you to get on the end of things.
Should probably tip the hat to that DC United defensive unit. Briand and Birnbaum started every game last season bar 1 together. And ultimately, DC United ended up with the 2nd best defensive record in the entirety of Major League Soccer last year. LAFC conceded 1 fewer goal.
But the excitement around Audi Field, Wayne Rooney, Acosta at the end of 2018, John, that's why I still think there's a little bit of a sense of disappointment with how, 2019 went. And I think Ben Olsen knows that and feels that.
Heel Christian Pania. And Buxa with a free header, and he scored. On the field where he triumphed as a 13-year-old, he's got that scoring feeling once again.
Second one of 2020, but it's just getting on the end of things. It's off the back shoulder, just trying to find a way to sniff things out, and also being aware of the unexpected. Expect the unexpected is what the best goal scorers in the world produce. A deflection, you're aware of it, you're on your toes. He's better in the air than he gets credit for. Deservedly so, the New England Revolution up 1-0.
No sooner do I mention their watertight defence than Buxa manages to exploit a chink in it. And second for his new club. Polish under-21 international. He's been on the brink of a senior call-up. So after $4.5 million from Szczecin in the close season. And New England, who will qualify for the round of 16 if they win tonight, are the first to strike in this game. Buxa immediately involved again, seeking out Pania. It's Hill. By. For once, Bo's control let him down. And DC are to get something from this contest. It's going to be the familiar route of having to come from behind. Segura up against Kessler. Felipe. Mora.
Remarkable, isn't it? That's the first time we've seen Mora get forward. And yet now all of a sudden, DC United on the front foot, their reactions there. If you're a DC United supporter, you've got to be just so frustrated at times. Why does it need to go down a goal to all of a sudden open this game up and to push the tempo? I like the inclusion of Segura here at the start of the second half, John. It has brought some life to this team and somewhat of a threat to the Revolution back four.
MLS on ESPN is presented by Audi and their Goals Drive Progress initiative, investing $1,000 into the MLS Youth Academies for every goal. Alexander Butner.
Now raises the question, at what point does Higuain come into this game? You know, he's an X factor for Ben Olsen in DC United, especially once he gets fit, and if there are games played after this tournament, as everyone's planning on having, then Higuain, he gives Ben Olsen a real option. Do you play him 60 minutes or do you play him the 30 minutes and keep him as your quote-unquote super sub off the bench? But we saw what he did against Toronto. He's another one that would bring some life to this attack for DC United here.
Gorgeous chipped, lofted finish.
What a goal too, by the way.
Yes. Well, his brother's been in goal-scoring form. Gonzalo scored for Juve in their 3-3 draw with Sassuolo a couple of days ago. Federico's introduction isn't to be long delayed by the looks of it.
Just looks like he's got another lease on life, doesn't he?
I think from what Ben Olsen was saying, he just is very appreciative that they were prepared to take a chance on him after his serious injury. 8 years at Columbus, played with such distinction. And he's come to DC with a coaching tag to his title as well as a player. But I think the hope is that even though he's approaching his 36th birthday, he is going to be capable of starting games this season.
Dude, are you kidding? Hey, if you're moving guys back 10 yards, are you not going to laugh today? Hey, ease up on the little one, John. Let him play a little bit. Is it about him? Wants to stop it and talk? Let the game go. I had a breakaway here with a throw-in because it was 5 yards and he moved it back. Let's stop this.
Not enamoured by the referee then. Handball. This is Group C as things currently stand. New England en route to qualification for the round of 16 tonight if they can see this out as a victory. O'Neill Fisher. Felipe. Assad.
It's just it's a different DC United team now that they're chasing the game. I mean, Assad's coming in the middle, Gressel's overlapping on the left. Felipe Martins is stepping into the midfield, a little bit more assertive and finding those spots. I'd love to see DC United play this way 3 straight games in a row just to see what kind of team they have.
Heel.
His change of direction, John, is something else.
By. Heel.
What a ball that is.
Was trying to play in Assad, goalkeeper Hamid and Briand on different wavelengths, and a corner is the out.
What a run that was from Kellen Rowe, but to lift this up, but to lift it at the right pace for Kellen Rowe to try to get at the end of it. Now Bill Hamid's in between spots, so he's got to come through his defender. It was actually Briand that did a good enough job not reading Bill Hamid. Great ball from Carlos Hill.
Bow. Hill. Gressel. Assad. Knaus. Mora. Felipe. Buxer, good ball. Pania in and threatening, and Christian Pania draws. A good save from Hamid.
That was a great save from Bill Hamid, but how about this hold-up play from Buxa up front? Just so important with your team under pressure. DC United chasing the game. He holds it up, he turns to the defender, and now you've got the ability of Pania to run in behind. Bill Hamid doing a wonderful job here of holding his ground, not guessing, not leaning. What a save this is.
Diego Fagundes is going to replace Carlos Gil for the Revs.
Well, that was the one thing Bruce Arena didn't know, is that, you know, your first competitive game in 4 months. Yes, you've had a full week to recover, but where would the fitness levels be? And he wanted to be very mindful of the players that gave him a ton of good minutes the other night. But I think it would surprise you a little bit, but when you see Carlos Gil, this is difficult to gauge that, and I think that's the right move there. He didn't look as mobile as he did the other night, John. He looked a little heavy-legged.
In by Bo. Hearing them back in action on Tuesday morning against Toronto. This is a unique tournament, and it's giving us some very unusual scenarios, one of which is that we have 2 matches from the same senior league competition taking place on adjacent pitches at the same time. Danny Wilson has just been sent off.
I was just going to say, you could actually see that.
It's either inopportune or very opportune moment to drop in on field 16 next door. Colorado, the goal up through Kellen Acosta against Sporting Kansas City, but a man down with Danny Wilson, red carded. That game is live on ESPN 2.
John, the game after us, Minnesota RSL, a couple big news items with the 11 from Minnesota United. Ozzie Alonso and Aaron Schoenfeld are in the 11.
Yes, Ozzie Alonso sat out the opener with a groin injury that he suffered in training the day before their opener.
Keep an eye top of your screen. This long ball floated all the way to the top. See, that's just wasted. Because for any player to try to get on the end of that, it's almost impossible, because Briant's momentum is going towards the goal and the ball's played behind him.
Reminder of the format here: 24 teams, 6 groups, top 2 from each section go through to the round of 16, plus the 4 next best teams that finish 3rd in the groups. So if DC were to lose here with just 1 point against their name, realistically they would need to beat Montreal on Tuesday to have a very good chance of qualifying. But a win tonight for New England would see them through to join Orlando, Philadelphia and Columbus as confirmed participants in the last 16. Julian Gressel.
Sloppy from New England in build-up.
Shot from the AT&T 5G aerial cam. To watch the game from that perspective, go to ESPN3.com. Bo. Butner. Colville. By. Two awaiting a cross. Pania.
tempo. Picked up by Gressel.
That's where you see the heavy legs, John, don't you? You know, you've done a good job with your defensive shape. You've won possession, and then you've got an opportunity for a counter and a transition the other way. There's just real no commitment from the outside backs of DC United to get into that attack.
Federico Higuain is on his way. He's going to take the place of Edison Flores very short. Kessler. Felipe. Briand. Fisher. Segura. Opportunity for that substitution to happen.
Well, Higuain's coming in too, but from the looks of it, I'm not sure Ola Kamara is available tonight. It's listed on the roster sheet, but from my understanding, he's out with a quad strain, correct?
Correct.
From Flores' perspective, I think Ben Olsen's going to have to figure out what's his best position. Is it as a 10, as a floater type, or is it more in a wide area where he can get more of an opportunity to be dynamic in 1v1 situations? But only 30 some odd touches tonight, John. That for this team to be successful, those numbers need to be doubled. And in critical moments, right? You can have 1,000 touches if you want, but if you're floating around your back four, that's not going to help you either.
Well, next door on field 16, a red card for Colorado, shortly followed by this equaliser for Sporting Kansas City, and it's the man who scored at both ends in their opening fixture, Kyrie Shelton, who's made it 1-1.
Great finish, but Yarbrough, the goalkeeper, I'm not sure why he doesn't punch that over. I mean, the ball's played over his head, and he pulled his arm down, but good finish, good run on that back post from Kyrie Shelton.
Could be an uncomfortable last 20 minutes, a man down for the Rapids. Yeah, New England's lead afforded them by Adam Buxer in the 51st minute. 20 minutes plus stoppage time away from securing a place in the last 16.
Bruce Arena's perspective, Zahibo, is he a player that you bring in here maybe the last 20-25 minutes, shore things up? You can hear the audio. He's over Kellen Rowe, trying to lead that midfield because there's gaps in there. Wondering if Zahibo now is the guy you want to bring in there.
Joseph Mora. Sad. Knaus. First involvement for Higuain. We've had some beauties the last few nights in the MLS's back tournament. This so far, whilst interesting, hasn't been in anything like the same category.
It's part of the reason why it's good to have the Caleb Porter we're seeing in Columbus back in this league. It's the way he went at Portland Timbers when he first took over that job, and watching Columbus their first 2 games out in Orlando. It's been a real pleasure to watch that team go.
Oh, left it short, it's Higuain, he could score again, and he has, and it's a gift. Catastrophic moment for the Revs, who have presented an equalising goal to the pensionable Federico Higuain.
They just haven't looked comfortable, John. They get the early goal in the second half. They just haven't looked comfortable with the lead. Sloppy in build-up. We've seen some bad giveaways. This takes the cake on that one. And the magical touch of Higuain. Is it a gift? Sure, absolutely. But finishing the playoff and giving some life to Ben Olsen in DC United. But what a sloppy giveaway from De La Mayo.
2-2 for the super sub, Federico Higuain. So long a jewel in the crown of the Columbus crew. But there, as we saw from our target goalpost cam, very happy in new colours. Service as usual. Gressel. Assad. Higuain had only been on the pitch for 3 minutes prior to scoring that goal. His 16th career goal for the prolific Argentine. His 57th in Major League Soccer.
But if he's fit enough where Ben Olsen looks at it and says, you know what, I want to play him 60 minutes, then what do you do with Flores? Does Flores become your sub? That's not the money you're spending for a designated player to come in and be your player to come off the bench. So I do think there's a little bit of a dilemma for Ben Olsen to figure out what's the best way for this team to play, especially going forward. Now, they need Ola Kamara to be Ola Kamara, which is a number 9 that finishes, plays off, and plays as that player, so the 3 or 4 players underneath him can operate in the magnitude that they want to. But if they don't have that, John, then they become a little predictable up front, and then I think Ben Olsen's got to be creative.
By Fisher. Mora. Felipe. Those changes to be made, and also for a hydration break. Teal Bunbury is coming on for New England. place of Scott Caldwell. So this is the essence of what we've seen so far. Buxa nodding New England into a 51st minute lead. Second goal for his new club.
But since that went in, they've been on flat-footed, John. They've been dull. It felt like they would have smelled blood in the water and finished this DC United off. And this is the third time in the last probably 10 to 12 minutes that New England were sloppy in their build-up, giving it away, giving some life to DC United. And it took the 35-year-old Higuain to put it away, and DC United's right back into this one.
Chance to eavesdrop a little. Most of the communication coming from Richie Williams with the silver hair there. Coming up in a few minutes, we will be switching attention to Real Salt Lake against Minnesota United. Kickoff is at 10:38 Eastern. The players now on site. They've arrived by bus from the nearby team hotels. Real Salt Lake, Minnesota is directly after us here on ESPN. Meanwhile, some drama next door over on good old Field 16, where Sporting Kansas City have retaken the lead. With an Alan Pulido penalty. And Colorado have had a second player, Jack Price, sent off. They're playing with 9. It's live on ESPN2 right now.
Also the pictures of Jack Price and his head coach Robin Frazier as he was dismissed from the field, John, that were extremely telling.
Too much on that to be ideal. It's reined in by Segura. Now it's Mora.
I'm stunned by this Revolution performance after the goal.
I think so is he. Looks like
absolutely. A little surprised because DC United was really no threat whatsoever. And when Buxa scored the goal, that's when you can get the second goal. The game's put away. Instead, sloppy mistake, and now all of a sudden DC United's got life again in Group C.
Butner. Pinilla. Fagundes to Bai. Down towards Bow, and that was a big opportunity.
You know, I told you Buxa is underrated in air, but this is just so smart from your center forward. He's got enough time to pick out, but you've got to lay that ball backwards, and he puts it on a platter for Gustavo Bow. But this is difficult. Your momentum's going away from goal. To still head it with that pace to Gustavo Bow. Give a ton of credit to Russell Knaus, because him closing him down that forced Bo to try to be precise, and ultimately that ball ends up about 25 yards over goal.
MLS on ESPN, presented by Audi, continues tomorrow, first at 7:30 p.m. live on Twitter. Banter with Taylor Twellman. Then a Group F doubleheader at 8 Eastern on ESPN. The Portland Timbers taking on the Houston Dynamo, followed by El Trafico, the 7th iteration, 32 goals so far. LAFC versus the Galaxy, and all the matches streaming live on the ESPN app. Brandon by Buxa.
That's a foul.
Seen as such by the referee, who goes straight to his pocket. Joe Dickerson. Frederick Briand ain't taken. But no, beyond everyone. Earlier today, huge upset in the NWSL. Thorns defeating the North Carolina Courage despite missing several of their leading lights.
Credit to them for being the first sports league to come back in the United States.
Yep, we're in Florida, they're in Utah. More encouraging information coming out from Major League Soccer. Late yesterday, the latest batch of nearly 1,200 tests of players, officials, referees inside the bubble. No positives. We actually heard from Ben Olsen at half-time in one of our broadcasts yesterday that the feeling on the inside is that maybe the most dangerous part in terms of the continuation of this tournament is now behind everyone.
Well, it's also been a real good example for the NBA, John. Over the last 24 hours, just talking to a bunch of people in and around that circle as they bring in that bubble down to Orlando. There's just been a lot of positive buzz with how Major League Soccer has dealt with their positive cases and created this bubble.
We still have another 3.5 weeks of this tournament to unfold, happily. Leading up to the final on ESPN on the 11th of August. To which we very much hope that some form of regular season is going to be possible. In home markets. Higuain. Gressel on his outside. Out comes Odoy Atsum. It's a lovely ball in.
Great ball in. DC United has to find a way to get Julian Gressel more involved in this game. You know, that's the Gressel we saw with Atlanta. Just get himself in 2v1 situations, deliver that ball or lay it off, whatever it may be, but just have an impact on this game going forward. We've seen very little from Gressel, and I'm sure for Julian Gressel, it's been a frustrating night.
Keeper Higuain to take. Higuain again, and the flag is up. remarkable news from next door, where 9-man Colorado have managed to equalise against Sporting Kansas City through Jonathan Lewis. It's 2-2 in that game in Group D.
What's amazing about that, John, is that trend of last season continues for Sporting Kansas City. The first 2 games in this MLS back tournament. They led Major League Soccer last year, giving up goals after the 75th minute. And we saw it against Minnesota. And now we've seen it tonight against Colorado.
And now we see Julian Gressel in some difficulty. Kevin Paredes is going to be sent on in his place, the 17-year-old who impressed off the bench against Toronto. This is what happened moments ago on field 16. Next door, Jonathan Lewis for a team, Colorado, with 2 fewer players on the pitch. 2-2 against Sporting Kansas City.
It's just inexcusable, isn't it, John? Yeah, I mean, you're up 2. You're up 2 men. That's just, it's inexcusable.
Inexcusable and inexplicable. Birnbaum.
Well, for those of you at home, our audio is so good that the whistles that you're hearing is the disaster of confrontation of Sporting Kansas City, Colorado, because that whistle was being blown for 25 to 30 seconds. So if that's the whistle you're hearing the whistle from Colorado Sporting Kansas City as well.
Higuain.
What a ball, man.
At the head of Buxa. Was corner, but the last touch of the referee was a DC scalp. This books it down the other end. It's worked for him. A little bit fortuitous. It's Bo. And Gustavo Bo not mustering quite the same power and precision that he did the other day in the opening game when he scored that stunner. Tajon Buchanan is going to come on for Buxa.
And I think Renix is coming in for Pinilla, correct?
Yeah.
But I'd expect Renix to play as the 9 and Buchanan to play as that winger. Were you surprised yesterday at Bruce Arena's comments that he loves the 5 subs and thinks it should be implemented permanently?
I was. I'm of the opinion that it's okay for now. I understand why it's here for now, but you know, we complain about international friendlies being scarred by 6 substitutions.
Yeah.
Well, we're not far short of that with 5. And even if they are limited to 3 windows, it is a major change. It may not sound like it, but it is.
Well, like you said, for now, COVID-19, global pandemic, and even into next year, I'm okay with it. But a permanent change, you really are changing the essence of the game in a way. But then again, it is intriguing. But I've done too many international friendlies now with the 6 subs, and it just changes it into a different kind of game.
And so if you can change half your team, it's not football as we know it. Well, the statesman of the US soccer scene likes it. And there's good reasons for doing so. Goodness. We've got got 5 minutes of additional time here, as you can see on your screen. Next door, they've got 12. Still 2-2 between Sporting Kansas City and 9-man Colorado Rapids.
For the Revolution, Teal Bunbury will play as the number 9 with Renix playing underneath him. Renix is an intriguing player, John, a homegrown player, someone that's of high energy, and I think someone that could bring a different element to this team, maybe playing in a wide area with Bo and Heel around Buxa, but keep an eye on Renix.
Segura. Higuain. Ogoy Atson. Russell Canals. Brion. Paredes. This is Mora. Assad. Renix. Free kick. Well, the fact that New England are not on the point of securing their place in the last 16 is down to one moment of defensive aberration. And 1 minute left to rescue themselves.
It's a difficult spot for Bill Hamid because Bo can whip this in with pace. It's to float that ball just plays into the hands of the defender.
Fagundes. And Butner. And had that Jumbotron not been virtual, he would have smashed straight into it. Now you see it, now you don't. And that's the final whistle. DC United 1, New England 1.